Welcome back to Change Your Life. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of Roosevelt dime value coins, exploring their iconic design, hidden treasures, and shocking history as we reveal the top 3 most valuable and expensive Roosevelt dimes from the United States of America. The coins featured in this video include 1982 Roosevelt dime, D-Mint, Denver. 1975 Roosevelt dime, no mint mark, Philadelphia. 1999 Roosevelt dime, D-Mint, Denver. These dimes are struck in copper-nickel clad composition and feature the classic torch, olive branch, and oak branch reverse design, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength in American coinage. At first glance, these coins may appear dirty, worn, and heavily circulated, just ordinary pocket change used in everyday transactions. But don't be fooled. Certain rare mint errors, varieties, and high-grade condition examples have turned some of these seemingly common dimes into collector treasures worth thousands, and in rare cases, even more dollars today. Money bag. So before you spend that old dime sitting in your pocket or coin jar, stick around, because you might be holding a hidden fortune in your hands. Backhand index pointing right first up. Coin number 1. A small silver-colored coin slides across a counter. It makes a soft metallic sound. Just 10 cents. Most people barely notice it. Yet sometimes the quietest coins carry the longest journeys through history. One such coin is the 1982 D Roosevelt dime, a small piece of American currency that has traveled through countless hands while carrying a design that represents one of the most recognizable eras of modern U.S. coinage. To understand this coin, we must first understand the man whose portrait appears on it. The face on the front of the coin belongs to Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt led the nation through the hardships of the Great Depression and the global turmoil of World War II. After his passing in 1945, the United States Mint decided to honor his legacy by placing his portrait on the 10-cent coin. In 1946, the Roosevelt dime officially replaced the earlier Mercury dime design, beginning a new chapter in American coin history. By the time the year 1982 arrived, the Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for decades. Millions of these coins were produced each year to support everyday commerce across the country. Among them were the dimes struck at the Denver Mint, which can be identified by the small D mint mark appearing near the date on the coin. The 1982 D Roosevelt dime carries the classic design that Americans have recognized for generations. On the front is Roosevelt's calm profile facing left, surrounded by the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the year of minting. The portrait is simple but powerful, representing a leader remembered for resilience and determination. Turn the coin over and the reverse reveals a design filled with symbolism. At the center stands a torch, representing liberty and enlightenment. On each side of the torch are 2 branches, one olive branch symbolizing peace, and one oak branch representing strength and independence. Together they form a message about balance between peace and strength, values deeply rooted in American identity. Unlike older silver dimes produced before 1965, the 1982 D Roosevelt dime was made using a copper-nickel clad composition. Beneath the silvery outer layer lies a core of copper sandwiched between nickel alloys. This change in metal composition occurred when the demand for silver grew too high for everyday coin production. As a result, modern dimes like the 1982 D maintain their bright metallic appearance while being more practical for large-scale circulation. When these coins first left the mint in 1982, they were bright, reflective, and sharply detailed. Fresh rolls of dimes were shipped to banks throughout the country. From there they quickly entered the rhythm of daily transactions, handed over in stores, dropped into vending machines, placed in parking meters, and exchanged countless times in the flow of everyday commerce. Over the decades, many of these coins became heavily circulated. Their once bright surfaces developed scratches and small marks from years of use. The edges softened, and the shine slowly faded into a more subdued metallic tone. To the average person, such a coin may seem worn and ordinary, simply another dime among many. But coin collectors often see things differently. They look beyond the surface and pay attention to the small details that reveal a coin story. The sharpness of Roosevelt's portrait. The clarity of the torch and branches. The position of the mint mark. Even the smallest variations in the minting process can create subtle differences that collectors find fascinating. Searching through pocket change has become a quiet hobby for many enthusiasts. A simple handful of coins can turn into a miniature treasure hunt. Each dime, penny, or quarter is examined carefully under bright light or magnification. Most coins appear common, but occasionally one displays an unusual detail or striking characteristic that sparks excitement. Even when a coin is not rare, it still carries meaning. The Roosevelt dime stands as a tribute to leadership, perseverance, and national unity during challenging times. Every coin bearing Roosevelt's image quietly continues the tribute each time it changes hands. Imagine the journey of a single 1982 D. Roosevelt dime. From the powerful minting presses inside the Denver Mint, to the vaults of banks, to the pockets of countless people across cities and towns. Over the years it may have traveled thousands of miles, passing silently through everyday life. That is the quiet mystery of coins. They move through time unnoticed. Yet inside a small 10-cent piece like the 1982 D. Roosevelt dime lives a connection to history, craftsmanship, and the millions of ordinary moments that shape daily life, reminding us that even the simplest coin can carry a story far greater than its value. A small silver coin sits quietly among loose change. It looks ordinary. Just 10 cents. Yet sometimes the most ordinary coin hides a story that stretches across decades of American history. The 1975 Roosevelt dime, no mint mark, is one of those coins. It may appear worn, scratched, or darkened from years of circulation, but behind that simple appearance is a coin connected to one of the most recognizable designs ever produced by the United States Mint. To understand this coin, we must look back to the legacy of Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt led the nation through some of the most difficult years in American history, guiding the country during the Great Depression and World War II. After his death in 1945, the United States chose to honor him in a lasting way. In 1946, his portrait was placed on the 10-cent coin, creating the Roosevelt dime that continues to circulate today. By the time 1975 arrived, the Roosevelt dime had already become one of the most familiar coins in American pockets. Millions of them were struck every year to keep up with the needs of daily commerce. The version without a mint mark was produced at the historic Philadelphia Mint, the oldest minting facility in the United States. For many years, coins from Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark, making the absence of a letter beneath the date a quiet signature of their origin. The design on the front of the coin is simple but powerful. Roosevelt's profile faces to the left, surrounded by the words Liberty, In God We Trust, and the year 1975. The portrait captures a calm but determined expression, reflecting the strength and leadership Roosevelt showed during the most challenging years of the 20th century. Turn the coin over, and the reverse reveals a design filled with meaning. At the center stands a torch, a symbol of freedom and enlightenment. On one side rests an olive branch, representing peace. On the other side appears an oak branch, symbolizing strength and endurance. Together these elements form a powerful visual message about the ideals of liberty, peace, and national strength. Unlike early dimes made from precious metal, the 1975 Roosevelt dime belongs to the modern era of coin production. Beginning in 1965, rising silver prices forced the United States to change the composition of many coins. The dime became a copper-nickel-clad coin, meaning it has a core of copper surrounded by layers of nickel alloy. This structure gives the coin its familiar silvery appearance while allowing the mint to produce large numbers of coins for circulation. When these dimes first left the mint in 1975, they were bright, reflective, and sharply detailed. Fresh rolls were shipped to banks across the country, where they quickly entered everyday life. They passed through grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, and countless other places where people exchanged small amounts of money. Over the years, many of these coins became heavily circulated. Their once shiny surfaces developed tiny scratches from contact with other coins. The edges softened slightly. The bright metallic glow slowly faded as the coin traveled through decades of transactions. To most people, a worn dime simply looks like an ordinary piece of pocket change. But coin collectors often look closer. They study the fine details, the sharpness of the portrait, the clarity of the torch on the reverse, and the exact placement of letters and numbers. Even the smallest differences in the minting process can capture the attention of collectors who enjoy discovering the subtle variations hidden within everyday coins. For many collectors, searching through coins is like exploring history in miniature form. A jar of spare change can contain pieces from many different decades, each one carrying a quiet record of where it has been and how long it has circulated. Imagine the journey of a single 1975 Roosevelt dime without a mint mark. From the powerful coin presses of the Philadelphia Mint, to the hands of bank tellers, to the pockets and purses of countless people across the country. It may have traveled through thousands of small transactions, paying for coffee, bus fares, newspapers, or simple everyday purchases. That is the remarkable thing about coins. They move silently through time. And inside a small coin like the 1975 Roosevelt dime lives a story that connects history, design, and daily life, a reminder that even the simplest 10-cent piece can carry decades of American history within its worn metallic surface. A small silver-colored coin slips quietly through someone's fingers. It looks simple, almost forgotten among other coins. But sometimes the quietest coins carry stories that stretch across decades. One of those coins is the 1999 D. Roosevelt dime, a tiny piece of metal that traveled through stores, pockets, and coin jars across the United States. To most people, it is just 10 cents. Yet behind that small value lives a story connected to history, leadership, and the long tradition of American coinage. The portrait on the front of the coin belongs to Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. Roosevelt became one of the most influential leaders in American history, guiding the nation through the devastating years of the Great Depression and then through the global conflict of World War II. His leadership left such a powerful mark on the country that after his death in 1945, the United States Mint chose to honor him by placing his image on the nation's 10-cent coin. Beginning in 1946, the Roosevelt dime replaced the earlier Mercury dime design. From that moment forward, Roosevelt's portrait became one of the most recognizable images in everyday American life. Every year, millions of these coins were produced to support daily commerce. They passed through markets, restaurants, train stations, and banks, becoming part of the rhythm of everyday transactions. By the time 1999 arrived, the Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for more than half a century. That year, countless dimes were struck at the historic Denver Mint, which is identified by the small D mint mark placed beside the date. These coins were produced using powerful modern minting presses capable of striking thousands of coins every minute. The design of the coin carries symbols that many people overlook. On the front, Roosevelt's calm profile faces left. The inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" surround the portrait, along with the year 1999. Though small, the design reflects the respect given to a leader who helped guide the nation through some of its most difficult years. Turn the coin over, and the reverse design reveals deeper symbolism. At the center stands a tall torch, representing liberty and enlightenment. On one side rests an olive branch symbolizing peace. On the other side lies an oak branch representing strength and stability. Together, these elements express the balance between peace and strength that has long been part of American ideals. The 1999 D. Roosevelt dime is part of the modern era of coin composition. Earlier American dimes were made with real silver, but by the mid-1960s rising silver prices forced the government to change the metal content of circulating coins. Modern dimes became copper-nickel-clad coins, meaning a copper core sits inside layers of nickel alloy. This combination gives the coin its familiar silver color while allowing the mint to produce billions of coins efficiently. When the 1999 D dimes first left the Denver Mint, they were bright and reflective. Their edges were sharp, their surfaces smooth, and the tiny details of Roosevelt's portrait were clearly defined. Fresh rolls of these coins were shipped to banks across the country and quickly entered the flow of everyday commerce. Years passed. The coins traveled. They moved from cash registers to pockets, from wallets to coin jars. Some paid for a cup of coffee. Others were dropped into vending machines or used to make exact change at a small neighborhood store. With every exchange, the coin collected small marks of its journey, scratches, tiny dents, and the dull shine of heavy circulation. Eventually, many of these coins became worn. Their surfaces darkened slightly, and the once bright edges softened after years of contact with other coins. To most people, such a dime simply looks like another piece of pocket change. But coin collectors see something more. They often search through jars of coins or rolls from the bank, examining each dime carefully under bright light. They study the details, the sharpness of the portrait, the clarity of the torch and branches, and the exact placement of letters and numbers. Even the smallest difference in a coin can spark curiosity among collectors. The excitement of coin collecting often comes from the idea that history can hide in everyday places. A small coin that once passed through thousands of hands may eventually end up in a collector's tray, carefully preserved as a piece of modern American history. Imagine the journey of a single 1999 Roosevelt dime. From the roaring minting presses of the Denver Mint, to the vaults of banks, to countless transactions in cities and towns across the nation. For years it moved quietly through everyday life, unnoticed by most people. Yet every coin carries a silent connection to the past. Inside a simple dime lives the memory of a leader, the craftsmanship of mint workers, and the millions of ordinary moments when that coin helped complete a small exchange. The 1999 Roosevelt dime may seem ordinary at first glance, but like many coins, it holds a quiet story, one that continues every time the coin changes hands.